Welcome to the Turd Nerds. We are the functional gastroenterology podcast discussing all things poop. Before we take the plunge into today's episode, let us tell you a bit about ourselves. I'm Dr. Rebecca Sand, a naturopathic physician and acupuncturist, and I specialize in all things gastroenterology, hormones, and fertility.
I'm Dr. Kapadia, and I'm a medical doctor trained in family medicine and functional medicine with a special interest in gastrointestinal health, food and environmental allergies, and autoimmune disease.
And I'm Dr. Ilana Gurevich, a naturopathic physician and acupuncturist who is board certified in naturopathic gastroenterology. I specialize in inflammatory bowel disease, IBS, and other functional digestive disorders. Let's jump into today's episode.
The following discussion is for educational purposes only and not intended to diagnose or treat any diseases or conditions. Please consult your doctor before incorporating any of this information into your care. The information presented on this podcast is not medical advice.
All right, Turds, welcome back. Today we are doing a case discussion, which is one of my favorite things to do on this podcast, where we get to learn all about a complicated case that stumped us, or we learned a lot. And this one's going to be led by our own Dr. Gurevich.
Okay, this was a really interesting case. This was a 74-year-old female who had a 50-year history of constipation. She had a 50-year history of constipation. Yep.
And she just found you?
No, she was referred over by an local acupuncturist who I love, who sent her over. But she didn't actually send her over for the constipation. She actually sent her over because this woman had uncontrollable gas. And if you ask this woman her primary complaint, it was the uncontrollable gas. It was so embarrassing for her.
Is it because things are fermenting?
I mean, I'm sure they're definitely, that was one of the reasons, but I learned that was not actually the main cause of her gas. But her biggest complaint was she had significant stink-ass malodorous gases.
That's the medical term?
Stink.
Okay.
I believe there's nothing more medical than the word stink.
Yeah.
I feel like any clinician has experience that knows that stink. So she had very significant, very malodorous gas that she couldn't control. And so it was very embarrassing for her. And she was really limiting her social activity because of the gas. Her constipation was there. She had tried Citracel and bulk laxatives, fiber tabs, everything like that. Her bowel movements never felt complete. She had tried osmotic laxatives. She had tried all of them. She had bloating. She had cramping.
The medications?
All the medication. Not all the medications, actually, because that's where I stepped in.
She tried going off of dairy products, lactose?
She was basically on a paleo diet.
Oh, okay.
And that, ... is something important for the future.
Yeah.
She had basically been on a paleo diet for a long time. That was pretty heavy vegetable, lots of fiber.
And she started that before, to treat this, or she was on it before and then this started?
She definitely came in to me on this diet, so I'm not sure.
Okay.
Other significant things is she did have a history of seizures that were controlled with medication. It was very well controlled, but that is a piece of what can be causing chronic constipation. Yeah. But she's had the constipation longer than she had the seizures.
Okay.
And so I saw her the first time, and I'm listening to her bowel movements, and the first thing I say is, A, what the hell is happening with your microbiome? Yeah. Let's work that up.
Ugh.
B, I think you need precalipride.
Yes.
Precalipride is, it's not.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, we don't, it's not, according to insurance companies, it's not where we should, in the US, it's not where we should start. But according to insurance companies in the UK or in Europe, it's a great place to start.
It also helps with bloating and gas and moving things through.
Right. And so I started her right away. I think at that point, I had samples in the office. Yeah. And I started her right away on precalipride, which completely resolved her constipation.
Yep.
Like
what
magic.
About the gas?
Did not touch the gas.
Yep.
So it resolved her constipation. I sent her home the first day with a sample of precalipride and a stool test.
How long did it take?
Within a week, she was having pretty normal bowel movements.
Yeah.
It was kind of life-changing, but the gas was still there. The gas did not move at all. So that's why it was obvious that the gas was not being caused by the constipation.
Right. Yep.
I feel like you might have told me about this case.
It's so interesting because I just got another piece just slid into place. And so then what I did was I ran a stool test on her. And the stool test didn't have any of my pathogens. Her microbiome at that point was a little bit off center. Like she had a little bit of overgrowth of some of the good guys. As far as pathogens, the only thing she had an overgrowth on for pathogens was Enterococcus faecium and Bacillus species. I see Bacillus coming up a lot. I think that might just be the lab that I use. Yep. But Enterococcus faecium, that's not one of my bad guys, but that is like, if it's in there and it's a bad neighborhood, that guy will turn bad. She also had some slight overgrowth, but honestly, her microbiome was not that bad.
And it was
surprising.
provoked.
It was provoked, yep. She didn't have any parasites, protozoa, worms.
Wow.
Her elastase or her pancreatic activity was really, really good. She had slightly high intestinal permeability or zonulin.
Mm-hmm.
And then she had slightly high anti-gliadin, IgA.
Oh.
And that was interesting for me because I came back to her then and she was like, I've been gluten-free for 20 years. We don't even have it in the house. So she didn't know where that was coming. Her secretory IgA was kind of normal.
That's weird.
And so I was like, well, it's not a microbiome thing and the constipation is not making it better. Okay, maybe we need to bind up some gas. So then I was like, fiber. Let's try some high dose fiber. You know what I mean? This was like, is the fiber going to help? Can we do a little bit of work with the diet and stuff like that? And so she did that.
And was this the psyllium?
I think I used psyllium with her back then.
And do you not see this cause constipation for some
As
people,
long as
even
you-
if they're hydrated or no?
As long
Okay.
as
So it's usually a hydration issue
Yep.
if they tell me they're getting constipated.
It's a bowel normalizer.
Yeah.
Like that's why it's so beautiful. It's
Yeah.
not going to push you one way or the other unless you don't drink enough water.
yeah, and then it's going to really clog the harbor.
Yep.
instead
And
of
it
flow
also
the
is
boat.
And you tell them
non-fermentable.
like a glass of water per capsule kind of thing?
Half your body weight in ounces per day.
Okay.
And each dose with a big glass of water.
Okay.
One of the things that came in, one of the things that was interesting is the only improvement that I gotten from her is actually when I was doing the provocation.
So wait, the fiber didn't do anything?
No, I mean, at that, I'm going to say, at that point,
Yeah.
the fiber didn't do anything at that time. The precalopride was magical. It completely changed her stools.
Totally.
The fiber didn't give her anything extra at that point, but she was still taking a magnesium citrate.
Mhm.
And because I didn't expect the precalopride to work that well.
Yep.
And so then I was like, well, maybe the magnesium is working things. And so I pulled her off of the magnesium and she didn't notice any benefit off of the fiber at that point. So I pushed her off of the fiber. We also had a very, very long conversation about where she could have been getting gluten exposure.
Yeah.
Because then I was like, well, maybe it's the gluten that's affecting
Did you test celiac antibodies?
She wasn't eating gluten.
I know, but just to see if there's any contamination?
No, I did not. So it's an interesting point.
Yeah.
She had a colonoscopy, endoscopy, and they didn't find any celiac in the endoscopy.
Huh, yeah.
And they definitely tested for it.
Yep.
But that doesn't mean anything. So then I was like, okay, maybe this is like a maldigestion thing. Like maybe you just don't have enough digestion. Your elastase look really appropriate, above 750. Maybe you just need some HCl. So then I started to go down the HCl, pepsin, betaine, and then probiotic route.
Yeah.
So let me see if probiotics are going to make a difference. I have my stool test. Usually that's a guide for me. It came up kind of empty.
Yep.
I'm moving her bowels.
And she felt better with the provocation?
She felt better with the provocation.
Huh.
So what I did is I restarted her on the provocation agent.
Yep.
And then
With bismuth? Did it have bismuth in it?
No, just enzymes.
Was she bloated?
The bloating resolved once the stool started moving.
Yeah.
So
but the
just gas.
The
didn't.
gas didn't.
So something's fermenting.
The gas, like it was rank, and it's so embarrassing.
Yeah.
And she's like retired, you know what I mean? She just wants to
Totally.
travel and hang out. Like
Aw.
it's like college again, but you're slower a little bit. And so I gave her HCl, I gave her pepsin, I gave her ginger as a prokinetic.
Nothing.
Nothing. Literally nothing. And I at this point the acupuncturist is like, well, I guess Ilana can't do it. Let's try some herbs. So the acupuncturist tried her on herbs.
Aw.
The gas would not budge at all. And so I was like, I mean, I think this whole process of let's try this. I can't believe she stuck with me as long as she did.
Was she on any like powders, like amino acid
She's on
powders,
prebiotics.
protein
No, she-
powders?
Because prebiotics mess a lot of people up.
One of the things that I try to do with her is my GI restoration protocol with a probiotic, some immunoglobulins, and some prebiotics, immunoglobulins, probiotics.
Yeah.
No change. Nothing. Because she had that elevated zonulin. I was like, maybe this is a small bowel thing.
But you know how like muscle building protein powders and stuff like that can cause awful gas?
You mean like whey protein?
Yeah,
Or
like those
branched chain
high,
amino acids?
high amino acid type powders can make some really stinky gas.
She was not
It's like
taking any
protein
of those.
smells. Like protein smells
Yeah.
bad.
She was not taking, and that I knew
Yeah,
of.
yeah,
She was
yeah.
on some pharmaceuticals for the seizures.
Yeah,
and for
sure,
her
sure.
chronic stuff.
Yep.
So then I was like, maybe I just never got you to enough fiber. Fiber obviously wasn't making the gas worse.
Yeah.
So maybe I just didn't get you to enough fiber. The one consistent is the precalopride. I think she stayed with me because the precalopride works so well.
Yeah.
Like, let's just be honest.
Yeah.
I got her pooping And that's something. So she was like,
It's
hey,
worth a lot.
hang out with me. You know what I mean? And so I was like, maybe we just didn't pull enough fiber.
Yeah.
And so I had her increase her fiber.
Yeah.
And we pushed it a lot more aggressively. She's actually one that took the powder. She's so damn compliant.
Wow.
She is one that pushed the powder. And
what dose did you get up to?
I think I got up to 2 tablespoons twice a day.
Okay.
Her bowel movements are amazing.
Yeah.
Her bowel movements are like, they like slide right out of her. It's like
That's
not even a
psyllium.
thought.
I'm telling you.
Yeah. And for calcium.
It's good stuff.
And then I also was like, maybe something, like we've worked so much. It's been about 1.5 years at this point.
Yep.
We worked so much with your microbiome. Maybe what we should be doing right now is we should try to rerun the stool test.
Yep.
So I reran the stool test with provocation.
Did you ever do small bowel testing?
Never. I did not do any. I think I did a fungal test, but not a breath test. She had no bloating. She had no GERD.
Yeah.
There was nothing pointing me in the small bowel.
Huh.
At all.
Huh.
So I
Did you ever do ozone?
I think I did do rectal ozone.
Bummer. Okay.
Yeah, I think she only got like 2 or 3 treatments and
Yep.
it did not make a difference.
Okay.
Okay, so then we reran the stool test and it actually looked really good. This time she had a little bit low diversity, low Bacteroides, low Firmicutes.
Huh.
And this time what popped up on the stool test was Pseudomonas.
Oh,
Yeah.
plot twist.
And so I had Pseudomonas and Citrobacter fungi that popped up.
Wow, why didn't that show up before?
I think all of the stuff that I was doing was breaking down.
Oh.
So I just could see it. And you know, the elastase looked good. The zonulin looked amazing. Her zonulin was like completely
Did the
normal.
gliadin go down?
The gliadin, so yes, the
Great
anti-gliadin
question.
antibody was completely normal.
Weird.
We tacked in a gluten peptide marker, and that one was still elevated, but not insanely. But here's the other thing that happened. So between when I ordered the second stool test and when it came in, and between when I saw her last, the 2 things she did, I told you guys she was mainly paleo, right? The 2 things she did was she was really pushing the psyllium. Like she was becoming religious about her fiber intake, mainly putting psyllium in.
Yep.
And she cut out almonds.
Oh.
And that's important because she was paleo, so all of her baked goods were almond based. When she cut out almonds, the gas disappeared.
Oh gosh.
She was intolerant to almonds.
I mean, was it intolerant to almonds or was it just a sheer quantity?
Do not know.
Yeah, I mean, some people just overeat nuts when they do those diets, you know?
And again, like protein.
She was, the whole time, it was almonds.
Wow.
Her gas completely went away.
So I wonder if that's why my initial question was so good about, did she start the paleo diet before or after the gas started? But we wouldn't have guessed almonds. So how did she just was like, I'm going to cut out almonds?
She was like, I'm on the internet and people are saying that maybe almonds. And I like, that's like
nuts. Yeah. Because of paleo.
That's like the staple of my diet.
Like going back in time, would you consider doing an elimination challenge?
I get like now I'm like, what am I
I don't routinely take out nuts though.
I know, totally.
Even though I will say I've had multiple people that I put through like a Whole30 paleo diet. And when they introduce nuts, they have symptoms and they had no idea.
Well, I mean, you're supposed to soak nuts.
Yeah.
Like traditionally. I mean, you're supposed to just soak them before, like here, you know, like with the beans. You're supposed to do this.
Dehydrate them.
Or just soak them and drain the water. And if you're going to put them on something, you know, but you could dehydrate them or you could, but we're not supposed to be eating like nuts.
But also just the quantity she was probably eating. Yeah. Like maybe she's totally fine with those, but just that's a lot.
I mean, here's where I get caught. Like, we're $500 into stool tests at this point, right?
Yep.
Luckily, she can roll with me, right? She can do it. But I'm like, effing almonds.
Yeah.
I would never.
But an argument for diversity in the diet.
Word.
You know, you're kind of making up for it with the psyllium or whatever fiber you were giving.
Yes.
But it's like we're meant to be eating a lot of different things all the time.
That aren't all made out of almonds.
Exactly. Our guts do better.
Seasonally.
Yep.
And almonds only have a small season.
Yep.
Do they?
I don't know.
The whole year?
I don't know.
Here it's the whole year.
Oh, is it?
Really?
Well,
almonds
I mean,
no,
you can buy them.
Oh, right. But
at Trader Joe's.
Like, you know,
I can get almond milk every week when I go.
When I look at when I look at the research with cancer patients and using mushrooms for cancer patients, one of the things they talk about is like you'll use like 10 grams a day for like a week or two, and then you like don't use it for another couple months because you want the immune system to adapt to these like intense.
You know, I've been finding that pulsing, especially herbal treatments, I get so much better efficacy pulsing things and taking breaks, which at first I was like, no, we need to do continuous. We need to get this better stabilized. But I think there's a lot of wisdom in that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this was a super, I wanted to share this case because I did all the things. I did everything right.
Yeah.
I looked at her microbiome. I gave her all this nutritional support. I gave her all the digestive support. Like she was doing it. She had a personal trainer for like 2 times a week. You know what I mean? Like she was doing all the stuff.
Was she able to decrease the prucalopride once she got the irritation?
I don't know. We're still talking that because also the psyllium has helped so much.
Yeah.
With like the prucalopride got it moving regularly.
You're talking straight to my heart here.
The prucalopride got it moving, but the psyllium made it easy.
Yep.
And so we haven't yet tried. I also get scared because I'm like 50 years of constipation. Like I don't want you to go back.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, if it's working, it's working. Yeah. And we've talked about this in our constipation episodes. Prucalopride does regenerate nerves sometimes, and we can get people off of it after they've restabilized and retrained the bowel and all of that over time. But if she didn't have anything glaring microbiome,
nothing. I mean, this time we're going to start dealing with some of the Pseudomonas.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was my gas case, my intractable stank gas case.
Yeah, that's nuts. Well,
literally.
Do a thorough dive into diet. Really important. And anything that's too much that we, maybe just overdoing it, consider a break.
Yeah.
I love breaks. As long as it's not a medication that's saving your life. Like taking breaks from a lot of things you learn a lot.
The supplements.
Yes. That's specifically what I mean. Supplement breaks are so essential.
Very attached to the supplements. Like it's going to give them longevity.
I know.
It's a drop in the bucket.
I know.
Exercise.
Yeah. The number of times I have new patients and they bring in their cart of supplements or bags, everything I'm on. And I'm like, what's this doing for you? And they're like, I don't know. I'm like, let's try taking a break. Let's take a break while you still have some left. So if it was the worst thing that ever happened to you can add it back in. Yep. Yeah. But I don't even know what this is for.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty good with supplements. I know a lot of supplements and that, I mean, it's wild. It's such a market.
Like I can't take more than like 2 or 3 things every day.
Yep. I know.
I'm not a good.
I know. People are total champs out there.
I'm not a good patient.
But you put some pretty marketing behind it. You promise a bunch of things.
There's that website that looks all clean and pink, but you have no information on there, but everybody looks happy. Yeah. That website.
I'm clicking through it, trying to find the ingredients. Nowhere.
The nicer the website looks,
they make
the
it
worse.
hard to find ingredients sometimes.
On purpose.
I know.
Because happy people don't read the ingredients.
Oh, gosh.
Okay, guys, so that was my gas case.
Yeah, super helpful. Good lesson in that one. Yeah. And don't eat too many almonds, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks for joining us today. Stay tuned. We release episodes every 2 weeks.
If you like this episode, please subscribe and don't forget to rate and review us to help spread the turd nerd word.